In this video, I'll demonstrate how to deploy a Kali Linux virtual machine in the AWS cloud. And here you can see we're at the home screen of the AWS console. We are in the Ohio region, and we're going to go to EC2. So let's go to the EC2 dashboard. And the first step is we are going to create a security group. Now, a security group is essentially a set of firewall rules that we want to apply. And we're going to start by creating a really simple security group that is just going to allow all traffic. So here on the left, under Network and Security, we're going to go to Security Groups, and we're going to click Create Security Group. And this security group is going to allow all traffic. So up here at the top, the name of the security group, we're just simply going to call it Allow All. We're going to make that the description as well. And we're going to make sure that we create this security group within our Hacking Lab VPC. And then under inbound rules, we're just going to add a rule here. And the rule is going to allow all traffic. So that's going to be the type. The source is going to be anywhere IP version 4. So this firewall is just letting all the traffic in. It's not stopping anything. And you can see the outbound rule is also allowing all traffic. So this is a really simple security group that we've created here. That's just letting all traffic through. Okay, now that we've built our security group, let's go over to the left and click on Instances. And we're going to choose Launch Instances. And we're going to name our first instance Kali-VM. This is going to be our Kali virtual machine. And under Application and OS Images, we're going to click Browse More AMIs. And from there, we'll click on AWS Marketplace AMIs, and we're going to search for Kali. And basically what you're searching for here is a pre-built image of a virtual machine. So there's already going to be a pre-built Kali Linux server here that we can just use. So I typed in Kali, I hit enter, and the first option that comes up is Kali Linux. This is exactly what we want. We're going to click select next to Kali Linux, and we'll scroll down here and choose subscribe now. Now what you're doing here is you are creating an EC2 instance. As soon as this instance starts running, you're going to start paying for it. So just bear that in mind. You can always stop the instance to stop the billing. And so let's scroll down here. You can see it's automatically populating an instance type. We're going to go with that existing instance type. And under key pair, we're going to click Create New Key Pair. And what we're doing when we create a key pair is we are basically setting up something that we can use to access this EC2 instance. So it's kind of like a username and password. It's something that we're going to need if we're going to want to get into this instance. So I'm just going to call my key pair Hacking with Rick. I'll use the rest of the default settings, and I'm going to create that key pair. And it's going to automatically download it for me. And then under network settings, I'll click Edit. I'm going to choose my Cloud Hacking Lab VPC. I'm going to make sure that I'm choosing a public subnet. So I'm going to choose public 1 as my subnet. And I'm going to automatically assign a public IP. Basically, I'm making it so that my Kali Linux virtual machine will be accessible from the internet. I want to be able to connect to this thing from the internet and work with it. And we're going to select an existing security group. We're going to choose the one that we just created called Allow All, so that all traffic will be allowed in and out of this Kali Linux EC2 instance. And then last but not least, we've got storage here, and you can see the instance is going to be configured with 12 gigs of storage. I'm going to increase that to 40 so that we have room to install some additional applications later on if we choose to do so. And then I'll just click Launch Instances, and it'll launch by instance, and I can click on the little instance ID here, and you can monitor the status. You can see right now it's still initializing. So I'm going to give it about 5 minutes, and then we'll go ahead and connect to the instance and start issuing some commands. All right, and so now we can see that the instance state and status check are both green. So we should be ready to connect to this EC2 instance and to start issuing some commands. So let's click on the little connect button at the top. We have to make sure we've selected our Kali VM and click connect. And then from there, we're going to choose the SSH client option. And at this screen, you can see there is a connection string shown here under example. I'm just going to click this little icon to copy that connection string, and then I'm going to launch PowerShell. Now, I'm doing this all in Windows. If you're using Mac or Linux, you can utilize the terminal here. So within PowerShell, I'm going to change to the directory where I downloaded my key pair. A few moments ago, we downloaded a key pair called Hacking with Rick. We're going to change to the directory where that key pair exists, and then we're going to paste in that connection string, but we're not going to hit enter yet. We're going to change the username from root to Kali. And so now I should be able to connect to the EC2 instance with the address shown here, and it's going to use this key pair to authenticate me. So let's hit enter here. And there we go. Now we're connected to our Kali Linux virtual machine. So now that we're connected, we're just going to type in the command sudo su to become a super user. And we're going to issue just a few simple commands here to perform some updates and install some stuff. And so the first command that we're going to run is called sudo apt get update and get upgrade. We're going to get some updates and upgrades. And by the way, all of these commands are included in the lab manual that accompanies this lesson. So you can just simply copy and paste the commands from the lab manual. So these updates have to download, they have to be installed. This part's going to take a few moments, and we're going to also install some additional software as well. We're going to install XRDP so that we can start a remote desktop session. So let me just hit yes here to continue with this process, and it's going to go ahead and get all of these updates that it requires and install them. And if it asks me whether or not I want to restart services without asking, just go ahead and choose yes there and allow this process to continue. And if you're prompted with something like this, choose to install the package maintainer's version and hit enter. Okay, and so now we can see that the update process is complete, and now we're going to install XRDP. This is going to allow us to connect to our Kali Linux machine using a Windows-like interface, using a GUI, to make it a little bit easier to work with. Now, this process is probably going to take 5 to 10 minutes or so. And again, the command is included in the lab manual. So if you need the command, go ahead and find it in the lab manual. Okay, so now we've installed XRDP so that we can connect to this using the GUI. We have a couple more commands that we need to complete here that are all included in the lab manual. We're going to enable XRDP, and we're going to start the XRDP service as well. So we'll issue those two commands. And then the next command that I issued is just sudo password Kali. And I'm going to go ahead and create a password for my Kali Linux machine here. You can set your password to whatever you want, just something that you'll definitely be able to remember. And now I've got a password set. And then finally, we need to install all of the necessary Kali Linux tools. So we're going to issue another command, and this one will also take probably about 10 minutes or so to install all of the default set of Kali Linux tools. Eventually, it will prompt you whether or not you wanted to change the Mac automatically. Just hit enter here to choose no, and then install Kismet, choose yes. And then should non-supervisors be able to capture packets, choose no, and then choose the standalone option here. So basically, you can just choose all of the default options when it asks you. All right, and so now we can see that the process is complete, that we have all of the necessary packages installed. So let's go back to the AWS console. And here you can see we're at the screen where we were connecting to the instance. Let's just click on the instance identifier here and capture the public IP. Now we're going to launch either remote desktop or VNC, and we're going to use one of those applications to connect to the public IP address of our EC2 instance. So I took the public IP address of the instance, I put it in here to RDP. I'm going to choose show options, and I'm going to just put in Kali as the username. And when I click connect, I'm just going to say yes to this prompt here. And it should bring up a remote desktop session for my Kali Linux VM. And I'm going to put in the password that I chose earlier here and hit OK. And now we've got a Kali Linux desktop open. So this is where we're going to start in the next lab. I'll start teaching you how to navigate within Kali Linux and how to use some of the tools that are available here.